our Europa Universalis 4 Tag Team Great Britain playthrough. My name is Streetwise, and I'm here again today with Asterix85.
Hey guys.
So we're going to go ahead and do a quick kind of AAR and overview of what we accomplished in this game, and kind of go over our assumed win condition for this Let's Play, or this tag team playthrough, and then take a look at maybe a next continent or next countries to play in. So our initial sort of stated win conditions for this campaign was to form Great Britain, kind of exert
Defeat
power.
France.
Yep, defeat France, exert power in the mainland, and then colonization of the New World and essentially the world. And we've definitely accomplished that. You know, our early personal union play over France has, stabilized our mainland expansion, and Asterix, you handled that expertly, going through. And that was fairly early for a PU over France. We didn't see the Burgundy secession, so that was kind of a boon for us.
Yeah, I was really hoping it would pop off. Probably should have gone to war with them sooner and maybe wiped their armies a couple times. Maybe we could have forced it. We had the prestige at the time where I feel like it would have popped off in our favor.
Sure. It was a boon for us after a certain point, though, having Austria not take that territory. So that was kind of a benefit. We did end up vassalizing Leinster and growing them. I think that was the right play.
I don't know. I think it took up a Diplo slot too long, but that's personal.
Yeah.
It's also, again, plus they didn't really do much. I don't know. I never saw them on the continent.
Yeah, I guess they had enough rebels and stuff at home. They ended up having to keep their army at home often enough. I don't know. Personally, I like having vassals run around, but I guess having an island vassal isn't as useful. I think we would have been better off having a Holland or a someone else available from that point. But that's just a thing. If we take a look at diplomatic map mode here, you can see obviously PU over France and our expansion in Europe. We have all of that taken care of. We did go to a war with Norway, or excuse me, Denmark over the PU Norway when it was that time to take Iceland, so we could, excuse me, Greenland. Iceland, yeah, I was right. Iceland, so we could start early expansion into Canada, which we ended up doing. Got after Newfoundland and all of that stuff, moving down through the 13 colonies, and then taking all of the Caribbean through a war with Spain, which resulted in actually a couple wars with Spain, taking all of their expansion in the Caribbean as well as Canada and Panama. And we can see now we've got Canada, the 13 colonies, the full Caribbean, all of Mexico, British Panama, West Africa, South Africa, Eastern Africa, and the Zanzibar region, Madagascar. A little bit of India started, and that'd be just a matter of pushing our armies through that territory. The Philippines, Australia, and of course that toehold into glorious China, which the Canton region, which granted us huge amounts of income there.
We were planning on really expanding deeply into China and making it like full-on British Empire ownership mode, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Again,
at a certain point, I guess at this point, nothing could really, keep us at bay. Nothing in Eastern Asia. You saw us beat the pants off of Ming and its allies, 200,000 with 75,000 troops. Nothing in the Middle East could threaten us. Nothing in India could threaten us. Africa was a joke. And you saw us take all of the New World. And of course, with France under us as a PU, that's another 80,000 troops at our whim. I guess 70,000 troops at our whim. So Spain and the Commonwealth, our only real enemies, are almost null and voided out by our alliance with the new Scandinavia.
So, I don't know. Yeah. I think Scandinavia, they took Denmark ideas. If it had been Swedish Scandinavia, it would be really
certainly,
scary.
Yeah. Swedish Scandinavia would have been a lot scarier, but even so, Denmark's nothing to shake a stick at, and it's a lot of value up there, a lot of development up there. So, it was a thing. But if you look at, say, the Great Powers list, the next one down on development is the Ottomans, and they're at 900 versus our almost 2,500. So both Ottomans, Commonwealth, and Ming would have to team up and all of their armies stacked together to even threaten us.
Well, we pushed a lot of people off the Great Powers list when you really think
Yes,
about
we
it.
did.
France, Burgundy, Austria, Portugal.
Yep,
Bohemia.
we beat the crap out of a lot of folks and nations that you typically don't see up on there. Delhi and Persia don't usually show up on that list. So,
Couple things I would have liked to have done in this campaign. I should have been a lot more aggressive in Europe, personally. I feel like I could have maybe taken our entire trade node a lot sooner, and I could have really pushed into Spain and really hampered them even more. I wish we had pushed a little bit more into India, and
sure.
I guess if we were looking from from a world conquest standpoint, we should have expanded into Russia probably a long time ago.
Yeah, if we were attempting a world conquest, it would have been a lot more. In that war with Denmark, we would have gone after their holdings in like northern Norway, so we could go after Russia to follow up, and then pressured that whole line. But it ended up being we wanted to recreate essentially British Empire to a certain extent.
I think we did. I mean, it's 1650. We own the eastern seaboard of the United States, Mexico, the Caribbean. We are in good positions to keep expanding into Africa, China.
Yeah, and if you look at the trade node, we own
India.
Trade nodes from Australia to Great Britain. We own the trade nodes from Malacca to Malacca, the Ceylon node. We own
own literally everything.
Yeah, we own the Zanzibar, Cape of Good Hope, and then the Ivory Coast. So all the stuff from South America either goes to the Caribbean, which we own, or to the Ivory Coast, which we own. So Portugal pushing their trade from Brazil and all of the colonial stuff that Portugal owns all comes straight to us because we're pushing all of that trade straight up to the English Channel.
Oh man, we only take in 84 ducats a month in trade.
That's it.
Only 30% of our income is from trade. That's actually, we did a good job developing Europe.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the military. That real quick. What is our full service limit right now? We're at 130 troops.
Of 186. Wow. So our max manpower is 88,000. So we'll call 50, that around out 90,000.
We got 50,000 troops in Europe. Where the rest of our armies at?
We've got 30,000 sitting in China as a defensive measure. We've got 25,000 in Quebec and 25,000 in East Timor. I believe is the Moluccas, yeah. Is island hopping in the Philippines, taking the Spice Islands. So we've got 55,000 in Asia, 25,000 in the New World just to help conquer Spanish holdings there because our colonial vassals between Canada, the New World, or Canada and the 13 colonies in Mexico, we have 40, 70, almost 100,000 troops sitting in the New World. Well, more than that with the Caribbean and Panama. So 30K there, 40K there, another 30 and another 25 in Canada. So yeah, we're sitting at well over 100,000 troops just in colonial nation states. So yeah, our manpower and military reserves are insane.
We take a look at our ideas real quick.
Absolutely.
So English ideas really don't benefit to land forces.
Not really, no. It's definitely more of a trade and
2 military ideas in a row to supplement that.
Yeah, we ended up going quality offensive. I mean, we did have expansion ideas on for our third idea for a small amount of time. but made up
That
for that loss of
promise.
the third colonist with the Parliament um, options, granting us 3 and sometimes 4 colonies, which was really instrumental to us expanding as fast as we did. We were able to maintain expansion in at least 3 zones across the globe for a vast amount of time, giving us the advantage in Western Africa, which locked down that node, and then got our expansion to South Africa, which locked in um, our presence to the east, blocking Portugal and Spain from going that direction. Um, so
Looking back on it, I think maybe innovative should have been religious, since we went Protestant.
yeah,
That
it could have
really
worked.
tied me down for a while. If we take a look at religious map mode, holy shit, I we did some work.
Yeah,
Protestant,
we
I think is
Protestantized a lot of stuff. All of Europe is Protestant except for Italy and the Iberian Peninsula. So, I mean,
go team.
well, primarily because the Protestant League fight was won. So the emperor, who ended up being Brandenburg, force converted all of the HRE. Is what occurred there. So everything was force converted down, and except for a small bit of reformed in Switzerland, um, which must have been
Pretty
due to,
good.
yeah, which is pretty excellent. And
Yeah.
us, we were the defender of the faith, if I'm not mistaken. We still are.
Yeah.
So we are the defenders of Protestant freedom across the land, preventing the
You've been there since 1490?
yeah, since it started, I believe, yeah. So,
1430?
defenders of the Protestant faith against the heathenist, Orthodox, and Reformed faiths, and
Fuck the
those
papacy. Goddamn
dirty
paper
papists. So, I mean, we kind of have prevented anything aggressing on the rest of Europe.
And then technology, which I think is the last real big thing we
Yeah,
should take a look at here.
We are ahead on everything except for Diplotech, and that was because we were doing a lot of um, diplomatic action,
the wars,
the wars, and
I
a
think
lot
we
of
got a Diplo
vassalization out.
idea.
Yep.
We got a Diplo idea out right now too.
So, but yeah, I mean, we definitely knocked it out.
If we look at the institution, we took 3 of them. 3 of the 5 that are out right now. I don't know how the Ming got one, but whatever.
They ended up with what, manufactories?
Manufactories, which really
Yeah.
I was.
That's very
soft
interesting.
on
I
the
don't know
inside.
what the trigger for that is.
Manufactories is.
Because they do have a workshop and a textile manufactory in Nanjing. I'm assuming it's because China has a buttload of manufactories all over. Yeah, they've got manufactories in all of their provinces that I'm seeing here. Trade companies, textile manufactories, naval equipment. So yeah, they went through and went ham on manufactories in all of their high development provinces. So I'm guessing that's why that triggered over there, because we had been light on placing those down. But yeah, we've kind of kicked butt here across the globe. So I would say that obviously the Great Britain and Scandinavian alliance has seriously conquered most of the world.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more we could do here.
Nope.
And honestly, it's blob time, right?
Yeah, at this
mean,
point, it
we're
would
not-
be just blobbing out and
We'll
not
be
really
finishing
threatening
off
anything.
the colonies. Probably fight another couple colonial wars against Spain. because
Yep, we'd
fuck
be
them.
taking Louisiana and that kind of stuff, but it really wouldn't gain us anything power-wise. So
No,
it wouldn't
I
wouldn't
agree.
do much. I mean, one thing that I maybe would have liked to do is see us expand into the Med and take maybe Egypt or something along those lines. Egypt or
Oh
Tunisia.
yeah, that would have been cool. That would have been very cool.
It would have been nice to own the Panama region, or
Oh,
excuse me,
look at
the
Tunis.
Egypt. Yeah, Tunis
Tunis blew
grew
up.
pretty well. They are getting just destroyed by the Ottomans. Or excuse me, the Mamelukes got destroyed by the Ottomans because of the Ottoman-Tunisian alliance. That was why Tunis grew. So
This is how this is what I did so I could spread it
Yep.
into Spain.
so
I allied with the Ottomans, ate the Mamelukes, and fucking went into Spain.
yep. But yeah, so the only thing I could have seen as our next step is wrapping up around the Horn here and going in through Yemen and taking um, Egypt from the Ottomans in Tunisia, and that would have been a good finisher for that, just so Britain got in there and could control that trade lane, and had that Mediterranean power coming into Genoa, so France could gain that power. But
Well, dope. I think
I think that was
this
successful.
campaign's a wrap.
Yeah,
This is a
so we're
wrap.
going to wrap it up here and get back with everybody who's watching when we decide on the next campaign. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone.
Adios. It's been fun.